Today starts the third week that we have now been in Shaarei Tzedek with Simcha Dov. We hope that we'll be able to leave the hospital shortly, perhaps even before Shabbos, but hopefully very shortly. As a schus for Refuah Shleima, I would like to share a story that has been taking place to us on our journey to Eretz Yisroel. And as I adore HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the chesed that He's done, and like I said, hopefully this will be a schus for Refuah Shleima. We'll be able to be out of the hospital shortly. This story starts about 3 or 4 months ago. At the end of July, we are in Muncie. Incorrect. It was more like 6 months ago that this happened, because July 1st we already rented the apartment in Israel. You'll have to put up with this guy. He clearly hasn't had a lot of sleep, and he sounds very tired. But the story's great, so keep listening. We are there because we are receiving treatments in the Columbia Hospital from a doctor by the name of Dr. Schneider, who has created a treatment that was directly focused on the mutated gene that Simcha Dov has, and was hopefully able to help. We had been taking this treatment for almost 3 years. Incorrect again. How could it be 3 years? He's only been sick for 3 years. The treatment started almost 2 years ago, not 3. But keep listening. And on that treatment, the doctor says that really the disease had continued to the point where his treatments is no longer providing much for Simcha Dov, and therefore he said to us that we should not make our life decisions based upon those treatments anymore. So that was very sad news to hear. But it did open up the opportunity to then come back to Eretz Yisroel, particularly as Simcha Dov's disease has continued to the point where speaking is very difficult for him, communication is very hard, and many of the people who were learning with him or calling him on the phone have stopped doing so, as it became difficult to have interactions that way. And it really became clear to us that we needed to be back where we have family, we have his siblings, we have people that will come and spend time with him, and won't be put off by the difficulties doing so. So we decided it was time to come back to Eretz Yisroel and forgo the treatments at that point in time. So there are many hurdles in order to make that happen, including setting up the apartment, or finding an apartment and setting one up. In order to handle Simcha Dov, he would need to have everything in place, of course, for us to be able to make that transition. And by mid-August, it was really ready for us to come. Our goal was to come at mid-August at that point in time, and we had any number of hurdles to overcome: paperwork, my Aliyah process, the visa. It was particularly with COVID. Everything was very difficult and very expensive. The time came and went. Mid-August came and went, and we did not quite get it in place. But shortly thereafter, it all fell into place. We contacted Hatzola and tried to figure out how is the best way to get Simcha Dov on a plane safely into Eretz Yisroel. So after multiple discussions, it became clear that the way to do it is to actually fly business class or first class, and have Simcha Dov in a chair that he can lay down in, have a medic and a doctor on board as well, who would be able to supervise and take care of it if there are any emergencies. So trying to put that into place again was proving to be difficult, and tickets started skyrocketing at that point in time, because it was getting closer and closer to Yom Tov. Tickets went from $500 for one-way business class to $1,000 to $4,500 before we could have the opportunity to actually buy the tickets. In which case we said it was really too expensive, and we would have to wait till after Yom Tov to be able to make that transition. Not to mention we still had all sorts of things. How are we going to get through the airport, through customs? All of those hurdles were not yet figured out how we would overcome them and how that would happen. So we made the decision that we would have to wait till after Yom Tov. Well, as they say, man plans, and Hashem has other thoughts. So, probably 2 days later, we had notified our landlord in Monsey that we were going to try and go to Eretz Yisroel, and that he should try and find someone else to rent the apartment to, the house to. And even though the time had come that we decided not to do that, he had already arranged for one more person to come and look at the house. So when they came and we were showing them around, we were telling them that it's most likely that we're not going to be going to Eretz Yisroel because of all of these difficulties, and we explained to them what it was. So this man, Mr. Stefanski, says, well, I think I might know someone who could help you. And he contacted an organization called Kanfei Nesharim, and before you knew it, it was working out. They were finding tickets, they were making it affordable. They knew somebody who was a medic who has done this many, many times. He knows who to talk to, he knows how to get through the challenges at the airport, in New York, on the plane, in Eretz Yisroel. This is his life's mission, his gift that he gives to people. And it was all at a much more affordable price than we had originally anticipated. So before you know it, I think that was like a Thursday before, they called us on a Thursday, and they wanted us on a plane Sunday night. So that was a little fast for us. It was a little bit overwhelming, and we weren't quite sure how we were going to be able to pull that off. We asked them to do it later, but apparently that was what worked out as far as the tickets and as far as what they can arrange. Simcha Tov, however, got sick that Shabbos and did not look good. Did not look like he'd be able to travel. The doctor and the medic came by Motzei Shabbos. They said, well, let's see how Sunday morning's tests come out. Simcha Tov was responding a little bit better. And Sunday morning, the x-ray was clean. And before you know it, we were now planning to leave Monday night. We got one more day reprieve because of that. But it all had to happen by Monday. We had no idea how we were going to get everything done. I mean, we were not packed. We were not ready. This was way too fast. So an army of people got on board. Some of our neighbors, Kanfei Nesharim themselves, sent some people over. And it was chaos. Nothing short of chaos. It was people coming and going. I was trying really to focus on Simcha Tov, who still needed a lot of care. So people asking me where, what, when, how. I think we probably packed an extra 2 suitcases beyond what we were planning on packing, because just so many people were being helpful, and it was so difficult to direct. Came Monday afternoon, and we were swept off our feet with finishing up the packing. The ambulance shows up. Kanfei Nesharim is coming. They're helping us. They're getting us on one thing after another. It was an amazing moment to really realize that Hashem is definitely in control, and we're there for the ride. Before you know it, we're in the ambulance. We're on the way to the airport. We get to the airport, and indeed the shliach, this medic, has speaking to all the people. He has all of the things arranged. We have like 12 bags and 6 handbags and medical equipment out to Wazoo, and it's all just being worked on, being put on, bags. They're paying extra baggage fees. I think they got it down from being 4 extra bags. They only paid for, they got the only charges for 2. And then we're walking through the airport. I mean, Simcha Tov is on a stretcher. We have his machines on top of him. We have 5 medics and Hatzalah people walking around us. This huge entourage walking through the airport, trying to get there. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just like, I mean, we didn't do anything. We were just being carried on. Kanfei Nesharim. They call themselves Kanfei Nesharim. I think they should call themselves Kanfei Nesharim. And we are being swept off and on our way. We get to the airplane, and they have 5 guys. They set up the bed, they set up the chair, hoist him up, but get him in all comfortable, and there it is. He's on the plane, he's all comfortable, and the plane, Baruch Hashem, the flight is fairly quiet. I mean, Dov continues to need his care and his treatment, but I'm able to do most of it. We don't really call upon the medic, Baruch Hashem, at all, or the doctor. They do help a little bit. And before you know it, we're in Eretz Yisroel. So that itself is a miraculous event, right? Literally, we had given up. We had said it's not going to happen, despite all the efforts and all of the shtadlus we had done, and even set up the apartment. We had given up, and then Hashem said, "Here you go." And it happened b'chipazon, just like Yetzias Mitzrayim was b'chipazon. This was certainly without. It was so fast and so hard just to keep our heads up. And there we were, before you know, we were in Eretz Yisroel. So that's a pretty good story unto itself, but the story gets a little bit better yet. For the final signature that Hashem wanted to sign on this story to let us know that He was in charge and He was making this happen, our medical team decided it would be an amazing thing to be able to bring Simcha Dov to the Kosa. So from the airplane, they put us onto an ambulance, and they have already arranged with the airport customs that they will just send in their passports. The custom agent came out, looked at us, handed back our passports, and we were in and out of customs in a short time. They decided it's the Kosa. They wanted us to get us to the Kosa. The problem was they had a flight that they had to catch, taking them back to America. So we got off one plane, and we entered a second flying vehicle. This one looked like an ambulance, but they put on their sirens and they flew. It was about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It was rush hour. There were cars backed up. It was a daunting task, but the Israeli ambulance driver was definitely cut out for this one, and he puts on his sirens, and we are weaving in and out of traffic, cars one way or the other, on the side of the road on the right, on the side of the road to the left, back and forth. I was holding on to Simcha Dov. I wasn't sure if it was for my life or for his life, that he wouldn't fall off the stretcher, or both of our lives, but it was crazy. One moment that sticks out in my mind quite poignantly is at one point in time, we're driving on the side of the road, flying past cars, the sirens are blaring, and the doctor remembered that we did not yet hear shofar. It was El, we didn't hear shofar that day. And he has a shofar in his bag, so he pulls out the shofar and blows shofar. So here we're flying in this ambulance, we're on the side of the road, the sirens are blaring, and now the shofar is blowing, all to be able to proclaim, here we are, Simcha Dov has been brought to Eretz Yisroel, and we're being brought to Hashem's house to say hello. It's about 40 minutes before Shkia, I believe, if I remember correctly. Way said it's an hour and a half, or hour and 20 minutes to get there, and he's flying. In the end, I think we finally get to the coast only about 10 minutes after Shkia, not too bad. And they work their magic. They get all of the barriers removed, and they bring the ambulance all the way up to the washing stand for the men before the Kaisel. And it was an amazing moment to get out. We had been in New York. We had given up hopes to be there in time for Yom Tov, and then before you knew it, we had been picked up al Kanfei Nesharim, b'chipazon gadol, and delivered to the footsteps of Hashem's home. I remember getting out of the ambulance. We tore Kriya, as it was the first time that we saw the old city at all. We kind of went zipping past everything else. And then we walked to the Kaisel. Simcha Dov was on his stretcher, medical devices all around him, and what a sight it made. I mean, people were looking at us as like some celebrity or some movie was going on. That here we are, we pulled up in this ambulance, we were walking along with the stretcher, with the medic, with Hatzalah, and next thing you know, I'm standing in front of the Kaisel. Simcha Tov was on the stretcher, laid up against the Kaisel, and I pick up a sitter so he can daven mincha. And the people around us might be davening Ma'ariv, and there were people who were already davening Slichas, and it was quite a moment to feel Hashem's embrace. You thought you gave up. You had done the Shtadlus and you thought it was not possible. Hashem made it the right person, coming to see the house, knew the right people. Within days, we were picked up and carried, not just to Eretz Yisroel, but to the Kaisel itself, to be able to say, Hoidul Hashem ki tov. Hashem was able to bring us to be here, to hopefully what will be a place that will Simcha Tov will be able to have the greatest amount of support. And we certainly owe HaKadosh Baruch Hu a tremendous amount of encouragement for this Maisa of Hashgacha Pratis. And that Mitzvah Hashem, this story be a schus for his refuah shlema mituch shar chol Yisrael for Simcha Tov Ber ben Chaya Freida. In conclusion, in addition to the Hoidul Hashem Ki Tov that has brought us here, we'd like to say a special thank you to Rafael Stefanski, the people of Kanfei Chaim, the medic, the doctor, and all of you that helped us get to this point. Thank you very much, and you should all be zeicha to continue to work your avodas hakodesh and help many other people as well.